still a few days out, footy, but I know this is one of the games that you look forward to each year. Really great occasion, and obviously a big stage as well.
Yeah, it is. It's just a fantastic game. To be involved in. Obviously, the work that Neil Danaher has been doing, the build-up, what they've created this game into is a special occasion and just such a great cause. So it's one that we know is going to be a game that's full of emotion for a range of different reasons, and one as a footy club we love playing in. So we're looking forward to it in a number of ways, and one that we want to perform really strongly in.
Obviously a bit of a shame that it's not in Melbourne, but obviously still the chance to raise some big funds for a great cause. Yeah,
it is. It is a shame that we're not at the MCG, but the SCG, from what I can gather, ticket sales are going well. And that last week we saw our supporters come out, in fine voice at Giants Stadium. So we know there are plenty of supporters in Sydney, so we want to get them to the SCG and make it a great occasion. It is just such a great cause. We can raise as much money for the MMD and the cause that Neil's fighting. I think it's just a terrific opportunity for us as a community to get in behind it and support something like that and put on a great performance and game as well.
Oliver, how do you address with your players the fact you're up against the Pies in Buck's last game as coach?
Yeah, look, I think that's one of the challenges. We know the game's going to be with emotion built into it on the back of Nathan's departure and his last game. But that's fine with us. We understand that's one of the challenges, but it's also something that we want to be able to thrive in. We want to be able to thrive in games where there is pressure, where there is emotion, where there is a sense of occasion. And I think this game gives us that opportunity. So, we've got the utmost respect for Collingwood. We've got the utmost respect for Nathan Buckley as an individual and as a person. So, it's a challenge that we look forward to and one that we're going to embrace.
Do you expect Collingwood to play a different brand in Bucks' last game? Obviously, a lot of talk about the Pies being very defensive, but could they just release the shackles and play a different brand that perhaps we haven't seen?
I think we're well aware of the footy they play, and if you look at their results in the last 3 weeks, they've played some really good footy against some informed teams. I thought, they took Port to within a point, they took Geelong to within 10 points. Last week, they dominated the first half of the game and got a good lead against Adelaide in Adelaide, which is a hard place to win. So we understand the challenge. They're playing a lot better footy than what people give them credit for, and they're a tough team to break down. So whatever way they play, we'll be prepared for, but we know we need to be at our best.
So, Ivan, you've coached against Nathan for a long time, and you've obviously played against him for a long time as well. What has he meant for you, and how have you seen his career?
I've just admired Nathan, as a player, but also as a coach. He's just a great football person, and he's someone over the last 20 odd years that I've certainly tapped into and had conversations with around the game and around coaching and around different elements within our game. And he's just been a great contributor to our great game, and I wish him the best in the future for whatever that may look like, but also to say thank you for what he's actually given the game and given the Collingwood Footy Club. I think he's been an outstanding ambassador in a lot of areas.
Yeah, and Tom McDonald's been named in the squad, but obviously he'd be on standby if he needs to miss the game.
Yeah, look, we've had some pretty close conversations with Tom and Ruby around what the next few days looks like, and obviously family comes first. We're really optimistic and confident that Tom will be out there, barring something significantly happening. But we've been in communication with Tom and Ruby, and they're really comfortable where things sit. And if the situation arises where the baby's on the way, we'll get Tom back as quick as we can.
So, Goody, just to clarify, so he definitely will travel?
Yeah, no, he'll definitely travel, Kate. He's really committed, and obviously those conversations have been with Ruby. She's keen for him to get on the plane and get over there. So, look, we'll obviously assess that as we go, but we're really optimistic that everything will be fine.
And I suppose in terms of emergencies, you've named Mitch Brown as cover. Can you talk to us about what's impressed you and what's put him in the frame, and perhaps also what's keeping Ben Brown out of the side at the moment?
Yeah, look, I think when you look at emergencies, you've got to be aware that they aren't just emergencies for one position. They're emergencies for a range of different positions, and we're still a long way out, so we have got the opportunity to change what that looks like. But Mitch has been in really good form. In the VFL, he's been quite dominant in terms of how he's played, and he has got the flexibility to play either end of the ground. So, that's one of the reasons why he's one of the emergencies. Ben Brown, we're really happy with how he's tracking. You know, he's actually training to a really high level. He's done a lot of work on his body. He's missed a lot of footy, and I think, you know, what we forget with Ben is a lot of people look at Ben short term. We look at Ben more than just short term. We look at him long term, and the player that we want him to be. And we've got no doubt that he's going to have a significant impact for us at some stage. And he's missed a lot of footy. He's building his game back up. He's building his body back up, and you know, his game's starting to progress into some really good shape.
Is part of the message to the players that you are 1 week away from, completing this first block of the season, and you know, obviously 2 great wins the last couple of weeks, sort of 1 more to go. Do you talk about that in some ways, so build the season in blocks, finish off what you've achieved to this point?
We haven't looked at our season in blocks at all. What we have done is we've just reset every week, and this is no different. Yeah, we've got a bit of a break coming up after this week, but our ability just to reset and take each game as it comes has been a real hallmark of our group, and their focus this week's been purely on, you know, how we train, how we prepare, how we develop, and how we come out and put on a really strong performance. So I know the guys are really excited about the opportunity that Monday presents and the game and you know, the game that it's going to be. So you know, we're not looking too far ahead at all.
Adam Mouze and Mark Williams have both been listed as candidates or potential candidates for the Collingwood vacancy. How do you see their senior coaching ambitions?
Oh, look, I think there's about 20 guys that have been mentioned in the competition, and so sort of like who hasn't been mentioned. But what it is we're really supportive of anyone in our environment, whether it be, you know, Adam Mouze, Mark Williams, Troy Chaplin, you know, that want to pursue senior coaching, and you know, we want to develop those people to walk away from our footy club and be in a position to take those roles. So we're really supportive of that. We understand there's challenges within that, but I think would all make great candidates and put their hands up, and you know, that's not really our decision. Our thing is to develop those guys and make them really operate well within our system, and those things come their way.
Goody, there's been so much spoken about that care and the impact on the club, but as senior coach, to turn things around from where you were at coming into the season, I mean, you must be doing a lot right. How do you assess your own coaching performance at the halfway point of the season?
Oh, look, I never look at, you know, when we're performing really well as it being down to certain individuals, and that includes myself. It's the sum of all parts that come together, and it's everyone in your footy club executing their role to a really high level, whether that be the senior coach, development coach, midfield coach, you know, high performance. It's the sum of all these parts coming together to form a team, and ultimately it really comes down to the impact that that's having on the playing group. So I'll continue to say this, not one person ever has the biggest impact on the footy club. It's the combination of all these things coming together that drives a great culture and a great environment. And at the moment, as a senior coach, you know, I'm just really happy that we're able to manage that and have some real high quality people that can help deliver that outcome for us. And at the moment, we sit in a really positive space in that.
Were you feeling the pressure though, Simon? Obviously, externally there was a lot of talk around your job going into the season, and you couldn't have done more from a results perspective. And then now in hindsight, can you give us a bit of an insight into what your mindset was like going into this season in that regard?
Yeah, mate, I've had unwavering belief in our playing group the whole way through, and I had unwavering belief in our football club and the foundations that were laid. And I said this a number of times, even in the last 18 months, that the foundations of this footy club have been laid over the last 4 or 5 years have been really strong. And that belief never wavered, and clearly the results put pressure on people within our environment. Now, what we're seeing at the moment is those foundations were right, and we have developed a core nucleus of people in an environment where people can thrive. And it took some time to develop, but it's starting to come to fruition now, and that's real positive. And it's just backed up my belief in some of the philosophies that we've had internally as a footy club.
Just one last one I wanted to ask, Woody, was about Angus Brayshaw on the wing. If we look back sort of 12 months or so, you were copping a lot of grief about not playing him on the inside. I reckon I probably was one of the ones that would have been critical as well.
You were, mate.
And if you look at it now, I mean, he's found a way to really contribute again, and you know, playing that defensive role as well, getting back. He's doing a lot right in that role now. I mean, is there a bit of satisfaction in the fact that you stuck with it and it's paying dividends now?
I think the satisfaction comes from Angus, you know, and I think this is a sign of the maturity of the group that we talk about, is the willingness to play roles that will help the team. And we've seen a skill set in Angus for a long time now in his decision making on the outside to help the team and enable other guys on the inside where their strengths thrive to get to work. And Angus's ability to execute his roles enabled James Harms more time in the midfield, you know, with Jack Viney, you know, Christian Clayton, Tom Sparrow, James Jordan, to put their strengths on show. And I think that's the maturity of the group, that people are prepared to sacrifice certain elements of their game, whether it be possession, to impact the team. And you know, Angus's role doesn't go unnoticed in our environment, and he's been a really important player for us.
How difficult will it be for Nathan Jones to get back into the side?
Oh, look, we've had some great conversations with Nath. He's in some really good form. You know, he's quite close to selection this week. So he's really determined. He's committed to improving as a player and putting his hand up and playing some really good footy. And he's done that in the last few weeks in some match simulation and scrimmage work that we've been doing. And you know, he's pushing as hard as anyone to get back in the team. So he doesn't have to do much more other than to keep performing strongly.
Last couple, guys.
How hard has it been for the guys outside the group, the senior group at the moment, without those VFL matches?
Yeah, look, it's been tough. It's something that's on our mind a lot, you know, because you know, their competition at the moment isn't operating, and it's tough to get a really good handle on you know, the form of certain players, but also the development within our playing group. So we are at a disadvantage at the moment in Victoria. You know, the northern states are still playing games of footy. They're away from the COVID situation. So the sooner we can get our competition back and get the VFL back playing, it's going to be great for the AFL competition.